Well, I try to be. I think beans and life is a pretty good thing because beans are a good alternative, and they certainly push you up the street, don't they?
I mean, you made your name really on Ready, Steady, Cook, and we kind of fell in love with personality. It seems to me being a genius isn't enough on TV. We've got to kind of like the person that's delivering the goods.
I think there's an element of truth in that, actually, because there's a lot of people who do have that ability to kind of, be professional about what they're doing. And I'd like to think that, because I've been around for about 20 years, because I share something. It's not that I set out to be a little bit different. I just like to, I like people.
And you can kind of tell. I like it when you start using your hands and your lips and then the eyes, and you're very animated.
I wish you wouldn't tell anybody, Alex. That was just between us. What's he like?
And of course you love to laugh, don't you? And that's infectious.
I think that's the key, and I grew up with that. My mum was always, a very lively person that loved laughter. And even now at this stage of his life, my father, who was an entertainer, he still laughs. He said, all my friends are dropping dead, he said, we're getting so old. And he laughs at it. And I think there's something quite refreshing about that because, we all know inevitably things will happen in life, but it's the way you approach it. And there's always a little bit of a laugh and a joke going around.
If you don't laugh, you cry, don't you, sometimes?
That's right.
We don't need that. It's interesting, your take on food, because I've always found you to make it very accessible. You can become a bit toffee-nosed when you read books by Joel Robuchon and Ducasse and all these people that are brilliant, even Gordon Ramsay. I don't know how many of those recipes I can actually recreate in my kitchen.
I think this is something that we all have to decide, what we want, who inspires us. And people often say to me, who's your favourite, who's the best one on TV? And I'm saying, whoever inspires you, because that's what we want. So it doesn't matter whether it's a Nigella or a Nigel or an Ainsley or a Jamie or whoever, whatever person just gives you that little bit of fillip, that little bit of confidence. And quite honestly, Alex, I think that I liken it to when I was at school, the teachers that made me smile, the teachers that made me feel comfortable. I really enjoyed being in their lesson, and I didn't only hear them, I listened to what they were saying, because sometimes you can hear someone, it goes in one ear and out the other, but if you actually listen because you're having a good time, you're enjoying yourself, then you're more likely to learn something. And that's what I kind of link it with, certainly when I'm cooking on TV. If you're enjoying yourself, you're taking it in a lot more easier. You don't feel like someone's pointing the finger at you and saying, this is how you will do it.
Do you mind the ribbing that you get from the other guys?
Not really. I think they're ribbing, and it's easier because I'm a one. I don't know any other black chefs out there, and I'm thinking, come on, you lot, I've got so much talent out there, but come forward, come through. So it's not just Ainsley. So it's easy, isn't it? It's easy to sort of point at someone like me, but I think the fact that I've been around 20 years proves that my longevity and the relationship I have with the public.
Do you think they're really ribbing you because you're black, or just because you're different and fun and upbeat and do it in a different way to them?
A bit of everything, really. It's it's kind of interesting when you think that that they're having a little bit of a go because maybe the fact that I've been around for so long, and it's everybody can instantly recognise with the Ainsley name. If you say Ainsley, it's almost like the old days having a Scylla or someone like that. People know who they're talking about.
I never associated the two. The ribbing I never thought was anything to do with race. I'm curious that you said that.
Well, because it's just picked up on it. It's easy to point out if they're talking about it. They say, the black guy. They either say Ainsley or that black chef Ainsley. And I've seen enough of it. It's either some of the live shows or when they're just sort of chatting away. Then they pick up on that.
Yeah, it's interesting you talk about black chefs and why there aren't more famous ones, because your cooking heritage is just gastronomically brilliant, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I've I trained as a French cuisine chef because that's what I went into. I went into a classic French kitchen and then went off to Westminster College, Catering College, where you do your 706 1 and 2. I think they called it City and Guilds, and I think now it's called Food Technology or something like that. They're always tweaking with it slightly. But, for me, just being able to diversify in lots of different cuisines, and of course with my travels over the years now, Alex, I've kind of, spent time in Italy, spent time in the Middle East and all over Africa and indeed the Caribbean. And, it's quite interesting that sometimes you'll go onto a program and you'll say, hey, I'll be doing something from a certain part of Calabrian Italian dish, and it's really nice that it's instantly acceptable, because you have to make that association, you have to make that connection with the public, that you can trust me, because I'll take you down that path. And I suppose, when you sold a couple of million cookery books, it means they have trusted you.
It's interesting when you talk about the French. It seems to me they do know how to do fine dining the best. It may not be to everybody's taste, but it's an interesting starting point. I know Gordon started in a French kitchen as well. Did you find that they just instinctively know how to do sauces and make their cooking great?
Yeah, I think they're a bit stubborn, the French. They have been very, very stubborn over the years. They're thinking, they haven't embraced, like here, we're a multicultural society and we've embraced loads of different cultures. All you've got to do is walk down your local high street and see the variety of restaurants from different parts of the world. Whereas the French have been very stubborn, saying, no, this is the way we do it. I think the only flexibility that they've sort of taken on board recently is that they might have said, okay, we're going to use less cream and less butter. We might be using a little bit more oil, and lighter oil dressing, which kind of links us into, what we're talking about today, that the fact that the traditional Sunday roast is not, I wouldn't say it's no more, but I linked up with the Dr. Oetker people, and they've discovered, this is nationwide, mind you, Alex, we're not just talking about one specific part of the country, that 77% of Brits admit that they would never cook a Sunday roast now. And so, times are changing, because it's something that you link with families getting together, don't you? Every week you went home for your traditional Sunday roast. Oh,
and I love it as well. I'm maybe old-fashioned, but I love it. Even today, I'm going to go and cook a pork joint and get me stuffing going and my sweet potatoes in the sauce and all of that business.
There's nothing wrong in that, mate. I don't think it's completely lost. I think what they're actually saying now, instead of doing it every Sunday, they're just doing it once a month. And so people just want a lighter alternative now. They just want less fat. It is an age thing. If you're 55 plus, you're probably still going for your traditional roast, but anywhere from sort of 30 odd, 34 plus, then I think that kind of mood is changing. We all want to be healthier and just look a lot better, especially this time of the year. We all know that 20 years ago, the only time you went out for a meal was maybe birthdays or celebrating an anniversary or something like that. But now, otherwise it was a Friday or Saturday night. But now people don't even think about it. You go out when you want. You can leave work and think, oh, let's pop out. And I know there's been a downturn in the economy, so whereas people would eat out 2 or 3 times a week, they might be doing it once or twice now. But they like to go out to eat, and even your local pub is dishing up much better produce, local produce quite often, which makes it really, really exciting. Or if you are cooking at home, you want a lighter alternative. You want food that's still satisfying, but has got less fat in it.
Can we finally end and talk about Can't Cook, Won't Cook, which everybody seems to love and fall in love with? It's a place where you can leave your brain at the door and just enjoy yourself. There's a lot of nonsense going on in the world. Thank God for you, Ainsley Harriott.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of... It's one of those areas, Can't Cook, Won't Cook, that's just remains, or one of those times in life that just remains in people's kind of heads. They always the amount of times they still come up to me and say, Can't Cook, Won't Cook, Ains, and they loved it with Susie Salt and Percy Pepper. And I thought they were showing something on YouTube, and so I was looking at you the other day on YouTube, and it just makes you realise how much fun we did have on that programmes. And the great thing about Can't Cook, Won't Cook was that it brought people's attention to the fact that, I'm as bad as everybody else out there. And so, we got rid of that embarrassment, and we were then able to move on, because you said, God, I'm that bad, I've got to do something about it. You know what I mean?
Thanks,
Cheers.
Ainsley.
God bless.